Hello everyone. In the last video, I left you with the format of a formal invitation, the card style formal invitation. In this video, we'll be discussing the format of an informal invitation and many more things. So let us start with the format of an informal invitation. And if you write an informal invitation in a letter style, it is very familiar to the style of informal letter writing. In the informal letter, you first mention the sender's address, then date, and then the receiver's address. The receiver's address is the address of the person who would be getting the letter. Sender's address would be the address of the person who is writing the letter, who is posting the letter. Then between would come the date, and then the subject, and then your content, and then the letter would finish off with your name and your complimentary closure, that is thanking you, you're yours truly, and then your name would come. So in the same way, in the exact way you write an informal invitation, first you would write your address. If it's not given in the question, you would take on any imaginary address, ABC city, XYZ road, anything like that. You would write your sender's address. This would come first, your sender's address, and then would come your date. So how do you write a date? There is a confusion on this part. So whether to write the date in this form like 9/10/2020. No, you do not write your date in this form. You write your date in an expanded form. This is how you write a date in your informal invitation. 9 September 2020, and for that matter any date, whether it be in October, January, you write your date in expanded form, something like this. So then when you write your sender's address, when you write your own address, you leave a line, then you write the date in expanded form, then also you leave a line and write the receiver's address. You would write the address of the person you're writing the letter to. Then, after leaving one line, you would write the subject of the invitation. Why are you writing this invitation? Are you inviting your friend to spend the winter break with you? Are you inviting your brother to come and celebrate this Diwali with you? Anything like that. Any subject uh, in total context with your question, the subject would come in this line. Then, after leaving one line, you would give the salutation. It would be the name of the person who is receiving the letter. For example, if I am Priya and I am writing the letter to Shalini to come and spend the winter break with me. She's living in Goa and I'm living in Mumbai. So I would call her to spend this winter break with me in Mumbai. So I would write the salutation as Dear Shalini, because Shalini is my friend who I am calling to spend the winter break with me. So that would be Dear Shalini. And then, without leaving any line after your salutation, after writing the name of your friend or any person you're writing the informal invitation to, you would not leave any line and start your content from the same line itself. And then you would complete the content. You would give the date to the person when he or she should come. And in my case, I'm writing invitation to my friend Shalini for spending the winter break in Mumbai. So what I would write is that when winter here is very cold, so don't forget to bring your jacket. I am really looking forward to see you. I want you to meet my family. They are very eager to see you. Do tell me your final plan by this date. This is how you talk between friends, right? And you're writing an invitation, so you have to be a bit formal. You have to tell the person to convey their final plan to you by this date, so that you can organize their coming to your place. Then comes the complimentary closure. As I told you, yours truly, Priya, in my case, right? This is all about the format of an informal invitation. This is a very easy question to attempt. If you see the question of informal invitation in your question paper, do attempt it. If you're given a choice between another question and informal invitation, do attempt it with correct format, with the box drawn outside, and you would fetch full marks if you attempt this question wholeheartedly. This is a very easy question to attempt. Now we will be talking about the marking scheme of any kind of invitation question or the reply question you will receive. There would be two types of questions in invitation. In one type, you would be asked to write an invitation, and in another type, you would be asked to write a reply to a formal or informal invitation. So, in both the cases, the marking scheme is as follow. You'd be given 1 mark for content, what you write in your invitation. 1 mark would be awarded for that. 1 mark would be awarded for your expression, how you express your ideas, how you put forward your ideas, and 1 mark would be for your format. The format that I just discussed, the formal invitation and informal invitation format that I just discussed, if you attempt that correctly, you would be given 1 mark. So in total, you would be given 3 marks for a correct invitation or an invitation reply. Now here are some tips and tricks to draft an invitation or an invitation reply. So what are the features of a formal invitation? So a formal invitation, it should always be written in third person. As you may have noticed, I was talking about I took an example of someone opening a boutique and writing an informal invitation for the same. So how did we go about the format of that type of invitation? We wrote, Mr. and Mrs. Gupta requests the pleasure of your benign presence. So we are writing that invitation in third person. We are not saying I invite you to the inauguration of my boutique. This is entirely wrong. You should always write your formal invitation in third person, not in first person, not in second person, third person. So simple present tense is used, okay? Invites you, requests. So simple present tense is used. A polite and courteous tone should be used, okay? You should be super polite. Requests the benign pleasure of your presence, anything like that. So you should be really polite in your formal invitation and your informal invitation as follows. But the degree of formality changes in the informal invitation. So it's a single sentence presentation, and you do not have to form 5 or 6 sentences. You have to complete your presentation in a single flow itself. Mr. and Mrs. Gupta request the benign pleasure of your you request the pleasure of your benign presence on the inauguration of their Kiryana store on this date, this time, this place, and then you end with the RSVP thing. This is all. You have to complete this invitation in a single sentence presentation. And then no signatures are allowed. If you are writing the formal invitation in a card style, no signature is required because you are mentioning your name in the starting itself. So no signature is required. Dates must be written in letters and you should not use abbreviations. As I just said, date of writing must be mentioned and it must be mentioned in expanded form. You should not use any abbreviations. And it ought to explain why the party or event is being held. To celebrate something, to honor someone, so something like that. The purpose should be compulsorily mentioned in the invitation, whether it is the informal invitation or formal invitation. So length as per the CBSE guidelines is to 50 words and it's generally enclosed in a box. A box is very important. And this is something I want to stress on, the 5 W's. What, when, where, and who. This is something you should enclose in your invitation. These are the 5 points that you should be mentioning. What would be the occasion of your event? What is the occasion? When is this event happening? Where is this event happening? And who is organizing this event? So these 4 W's should be on your tips. These should not be forgotten when you start to attempt an invitation question. If you cover these W's, nobody would cut your marks. And if you follow the format. So these are some hacks you could use while writing an invitation. These are the most important points without which an invitation is incomplete. Now we'll move on to the features of an informal invitation. Informal invitations are written to friends, relatives, and acquaintances. They follow the pattern of ordinary personal letters. As I said, they are strikingly similar to an informal letter. they are written in first or second person. That is in stark contrast. They are totally different with formal invitations. जैसे कि formal invitation में हमने बात की थी कि हम third person में formal invitation लिखते हैं, but when we come to informal invitation, we write it in first or second person. We directly talk to the person. I am inviting you to my house to celebrate Diwali with me. I am waiting for your reply to come, something like this. This type of invitation is written in first or second person. And then the style and tone is relaxed and informal. So what do you mean by style and tone of your content? Style and tone is something concerning to the way you talk, to the way you write. If I am writing a sentence, I request the pleasure of your benign presence, and on the other hand I'm writing, I would love if you come. See the style and tone, how formal was the style and tone in the first sentence, and how relaxed it was in the second sentence. So you have to do the same thing with formal invitations and informal invitations. Your tone should be relaxed and informal in the informal invitations. The second sentence, as you may have guessed, comes from the informal invitation, because you would write something like this to your friend, your relative, or your acquaintance, someone you're very familiar with. So now different tenses are used as per the demand, right? And the letter can be elaborative, explaining the details of the event. Obviously, you could be elaborative in writing the event, writing the purpose of the event. You could write that, for example, you have scored 95% in your boards, and you want to invite your friend to your party you are throwing in the same concern. So you would write that, I'm very happy I scored these much marks, and I got into this prestigious college. I would love to celebrate this moment of success with someone very close to me, someone like you. So all of this elaborative explaining can be done in the informal invitation. Whereas when we talk about formal invitation, you cannot do the same. You do not have the word limit, and you do not have so much content to talk about in the formal invitation. Now we'd be having some tips and tricks to draft invitation replies. So what are the overall characteristics of a reply? A formal reply is usually very short, it's very brief and to the point. When we go on to see the examples of formal replies, all these tips and tricks would become more clear to you. The quality of a good reply is that it's always pleasant. For example, I cannot attend someone's event. So what I would not simply say that no, I would not come. That is a very rude reply. What you would do is you would start your reply something like this: that thank you for inviting me, and I thank you for your invitation, but due to some prior commitments, I cannot attend your event. I wish you best of luck for the same. This is the way an invitation reply should be. It should be pleasant and courteous. Even while declining the invitation or expressing inability to attend, you should be polite and courteous. As I mentioned earlier, you should be polite and courteous in your invitation as well as your invitation reply. And formal replies demand a formal tone and treatment. There is no room for unnecessary details or superfluous matter in them. For example, you're not able to attend the sports day of a school. So they are saying that you should become the chief guest. So you have a prior commitment, you cannot become the chief guest of the event, and let's leave coming to the event. So what you can say to the authorities is that thank you for inviting me, and I'm not available for because of prior commitments. You cannot start mentioning the details of your prior commitments, because इतनी डिटेल्स अगर हम देंगे तो एक हमारी वर्ड लिमिट चली जाएगी एंड इट वुड लूज द फॉर्मल टोन. द टोन इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ योर invitation and invitation reply. Main characteristics of a formal reply are as follows. You should first acknowledge the invitation. You should express thanks in third person. All of these tips would be cleared when we go on and solve some questions. You should mention the acceptance and regret in accepting the invitation and declining the invitation. You should specify the reason for refusal, whether you are, having some prior commitments or you're not feeling well, something like that. You should mention the reason for refusal. Be brief and specific, be formal in tone and treatment. Now, talking about informal replies. You should acknowledge the invitation in first person. In formal replies, you were acknowledging the event in third person. In this, you should acknowledge the invitation in first person. And then you should use the second person for the sender of invitation. You should mention the acceptance and regret. You should specify the reason in case of refusal. And you should use warm and simple language. And obviously, you cannot exceed the word limit. So all of the characteristics are overlapping. In case of tone, in case of the type of tense you have to use, and in case of accepting or rejecting the invitation, you have to keep all of these in mind. And it's a quite easy question to attempt. So in the next part, we'll go on and solve some questions of invitations and their replies.